Oh.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is B from the main phase. Today we're here with Layimmy, the second place finisher at Swagkage's recent tournament. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi guys. My name's Layimmy, Lay Jimmy, however you want to pronounce this. Or like my master duel name is MST Negates. Yeah. I played the game for like 2 years now. Always playing control, and I'm a very big fan of the OCG. I probably play more OCG on like simulators than I play TCG. So when I saw skill drain was at 3, I thought this is the perfect opportunity to make people hate me by playing Eldlich.
Okay, so as you said, you decided to play Eldlich at this tournament. Among the other reasons of you wanting to play control, are there any other reasons you decided to play this deck?
Uh, the main reason is I kind of grew a big hate of my normal main deck, which is Altergeist. So it was like, okay, let's play Eldritch next and see how it goes. And I also just dislike the existence of Maxi in this game. So I was just refusing to play it and also refused to play into it. So this was basically the only option of a deck that I had.
Well, we know it went well. You came second, but how overall, how do you think this deck performed against the other decks in the tournament?
Pretty good. Considering that I over the like 6 rounds of Swiss and then top cut, which is basically top 32 down, I only won 2 die rolls. It performed pretty good without having like a strike or something like this. Just like Zombie World is just really stupid.
Are there any matchups you thought went particularly well or particularly bad?
Um, Not really. Drytron is kind of mad because that's kind of the only board you can't play through. Um, because like you can't deal with like 4 Omni negates. I played through like 2 Omni gates and a bounce. That's like not the problem, but then you have to draw like enough floodgates to out this. But there's no really insanely bad matchup, which is just an auto lose. There is one, which is Gravekeepers if they activate Necro Rally, which happened in ranked, but that didn't happen in the tournament. So
Yeah, that's pretty good. While the deck has pretty solid state in archetype cards, what
yeah.
staples do you think would be recommended for the deck, both budget and non-budget? Like,
Um, there isn't really like as you can see. I don't play any hand trips. Because they're just not necessary in this deck. Um, for like the really the real deck where you have like unlimited budget, I guess. Um, just the main deck is kind of it. You can, I think if I switch to yeah, there's not a lot of ultra rares in here technically. Um, I think Order and Vanity's Emptiness are just like must-have cards. Um, um, as is in this deck list, if you want to play like Floodgates, Tikaboo is also like a must-have. Um, you can get away with 2 Golden Lords. However, I do say that it saved me like probably 4 rounds in Swiss that I played 3 because everyone played Called by. Um, the Super Polies are not necessary, but I just wanted something that like outs the Drytron board. Um, yeah, and then in the extra deck, you don't need to play as many rank 10s as I did. Just play like one of each, and then budget options. When I started playing this deck in ranked, um, I didn't have all the cards, and my extra deck were literally 15 link monsters. I physically couldn't summon, and it didn't matter. So, for if you have a budget, you should focus on like crafting the main deck, and then the extra deck just comes along.
okay, give me a sec. So, in the finals, you played against Virtual World. What do you think, like, lost you that matchup? And what would you recommend to other people playing the deck in that matchup?
Oh, that matchup went fine. Just game 3, I just drew Gozen as only interaction, which is just not good against Virtual World.
Ah, that's not that's not
Like
fortunate,
I,
is it?
Yeah, like the deck went well until literally game 3 in the finals, where he ashed my extravagance, and then the only cards I had were double Gozen, and obviously he just goes Shen Shen, Chuche, and I lose. Um, Granted, in the final game 3, I also drew all 3 Golden Lords in 6 cards, so yeah.
Yeah. As we probably know, the Swagkage tournament was best of 1. Do you think this deck performs better in best of 1s or best of 3s?
Oh, so I think best of ones for a trap track is always better because unless people play going second zoo, they don't really play back row removal. Um, and then granted, Swagkage's tournament was best of 3 with no siding, so that was like this basically best of 1. But there's 3 die rolls, so technically only 1, but then you get to choose. But like I realized that it doesn't really matter if you go first or second with the stack if it's just best of 1, because your opponent is just not ready for 15 floodgates in the main, and obviously they don't have spell trap removal. The only match I lost in Swiss was because my I played against Zodiac and he opened the Lightning Storm, which I don't have anything in the main deck for. So like, and then best of 3 with actual siding, this deck gets worse because you can't side that many anti spell trap removal, and people can side it and can just snipe your one floodgate that is relevant. So best of 1 is definitely better for this deck.
Yeah, so you chose to play Zombie World with your Eldlich package. What was the motivation behind that decision?
Okay, so when I started building this deck like 3 months ago, when I played the OCG, I just put in Zombie World as a meme, like, oh, it's an additional floodgate. But then I realized, and if you follow like the Road of the King, you also see that like the OCG players really like this deck, really like Zombie World in the main, just because it Zombie World plus Rivalry or Zombie World plus Tikaboo just ends the game against every deck in the game, and then you also play the Bale Drotch because this deck, by its nature of its build, is inferior in the mirror because the mirror has like the other guy has like IDP and punishment and sometimes Dynamiscus. So you need the Bale Drotch to like really push for the mirror, and also the Bale Drotch can like act as like pseudo skill drain against some decks because like if you have Zombie World Bale Drotch, it's like you have a negate and a banish, and a lot of decks just really struggle against this.
Given your good performance in this tournament, would you consider playing this deck again in future tournaments?
Oh yeah. I mean, I literally just 10 minutes ago bought everything for this deck when the ban list came out for the TCG. So I will continue playing this, and also in Master Duel, yeah, because the nature of not playing spell trap removal doesn't really change, because a lot of combo decks I played against like 4 Sekka decks, just it doesn't change. People will never play spell trap removal in the main, and even if it's like a one-off, and then if you lose to a one-off, that's like okay.
Yeah, would you recommend this deck to other players?
Oh yeah, so that's like I obviously don't want to recommend this because then I need to play the mirror, but theoretically yes, it's a very good deck. It's as MBT already said in the stream, it requires very little thinking in its core because you just flip a continuous purple card and the game ends. But there's some really neat interactions and really neat plays you need to think about, which probably would have not gotten the average player into finals of this tournament. But you can easily climb to plat 1 with the stack and not even read half your own cards, to be honest. So it's really good.
So yes. You mentioned the ban list earlier.
Yeah.
How do you think the ban list impacted this deck in the TCG? Do you think it was positive or negative?
Oh, so really positive, because order is just not really a thing. Like order is not like a thing that is necessary for this deck. It's like a nice to have, and then 3 skill drain just makes this deck even possible, because Skill drain is basically, imagine it like you have unlimited solemn strikes every turn. That's basically skill drain. And also this deck is pretty weaker in the TCG than it is in Master Duel, just by the fact that DPE exists. And now that like Fusion Destinies semi-limited, DPE comes out less often, and so this deck can become, also, I would say, is definitely stronger through the ban list, especially because of Skill Drain at 3, but like, that was like the obvious I didn't want to talk about.
Are there any specific choices you made for this deck that you think would benefit you a lot that wouldn't necessarily be auto-includes in other builds?
Okay. So I've seen a lot of builds over the past couple of days from like Team Samurai and Pack, which all already played like one white elixir and one black, because people realize they're just pretty good cards. I played these cards for like a long time now, because the black elixir just gives you Lord onto the board, which makes every golden land in your hand just instantly live, which people just don't expect. And the white destiny is pretty cool because you can outplay DD Crow and Called by the Grave, or even Ash Blossom on Scarlet Sanguine just by it existing. And not a lot of people play this because there was like, I'd rather play relevant trap cards, which is not necessary in this deck, because in this deck you don't need relevant trap cards. In a standard Eldlich list, you need like all your trap cards that trade like 1 for 1 or 1 for 2 to like keep advantage into this game. But in this deck, you just flip one floodgate that works, and the game ends. Your other cards do not matter anymore. It doesn't matter if your second black elixir is a brick or not, because if your opponent can't play under skill drain, they just won't start playing ever.
You mentioned the insect card before, but what are your opinions on Maxi in general? Like, do you think it could be unbanned? Do you think it can't?
Master Duel, like, yeah, so Master Duel showed us again. Like, there's a lot of people that say like, yeah, Maxi is fair because you give your opponent 2 cards and then they give you 2 cards, but Maxi becomes unfair at the point where you have a board and you Maxi your opponent. It's just not fair. This, like, no singular deck, no singular card should be just able to end the turn against any deck. I mean, there's turn ender hand traps like Lancia and Doran Lockbird, but these are fine because these are specific. But Maxi hurts literally 99% of decks in the game. Even against this deck, sometimes Maxi just is super good because it gets like a +2 out of it, because you need to activate like your elixirs and your golden lands. So Maxi is just like a card I want to never see again, and I hate every time I play OCG format.
Yeah, that a lot of people like share that sentiment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are your opinions on any of the other hits on this ban list? I know you were talking about how Skill Drain was on free here and then was put to free in real life, but are there any other changes that you think positively or negatively affected the experience?
Of this deck specifically, or just general?
Just in general.
Okay. I think it was pretty clear from the start that Konami hated the bird deck. They never featured it. They didn't want to feature it on any of their remote events, and they showed it that they just like didn't want the deck to exist. I think people would still try it, but like not like to like probably not to the normal strength that it has, and probably won't take a lot of top cuts. Sword Soul is now a fair deck again, without Protoss just being the best floodgate in the game, better than Order. Lunalight, I don't actually know about Lunalight. I never played the deck, I never touched this deck, I just usually flipped Necro Rally against it, and that was it. So I don't know about this. And I also never played Pendulum, so I can't really say that much about that.
Fair. Last off, what are your opinions on the Master Duel format as a whole, and how different it is, to the TCG?
Okay, so on one hand, on the one side, it's really, really cool and exciting. But then you think about it, and it's basically just OCG format, but they unbanned calamities.
Yeah, which is not a good thing.
which is not a good thing. Like, I don't get it. Like, yeah, Calamity's banned in the TCG and OCG. Hey, let's set it to 1 in Master Duel now. Now I think Master Duel, out of all, just showed TCG players how fun OCG is. Because the OCG, what I learned when I actually went to Japan and Korea and talked to players there, they just sometimes didn't play the, like, ridiculous combo decks because they said it is not honorable to play these, so they played just random shit, even at high tier events. Which is, I feel like Master Duel is right now. Everyone plays what they want. Nobody plays the best deck. And we don't even know what the best deck is because nobody tries to figure it out. Which I think is a really fun format. Fun in quotation marks because I'm playing this deck, but yeah.
Thanks. Do you have any socials you want to share before we head off?
Oh, no, I don't have any socials. Like, I have, like, Instagram, but, like, nobody cares, so I don't care.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Bye. Let me just
Bye.
stop the